All right, if you're a real estate agent that's wondering how am I going to be able to scale my business and take it to another level, it all starts with systems. And I got one of the best in the business for that today. Cole Holmes is going to tell us the systems that he has in his business and those that you can apply in yours that'll absolutely get you some good results. All right, I'm joined by my buddy Cole Holmes today. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the processes that he uses in his mortgage lending side that you can apply in your business, because these are efficiencies that I know will help you not only have smoother deals, but it leads to more opportunities as well. Cole, you want to just kind of tell everybody a little bit about you, and then I want to go into some specifics on some of the systems that you're using that I know agents can use as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is year, I think, 22-ish for me. So I like to call myself a mid-century modern loan officer since I crossed over that mid-century mark.
Yeah.
And I just, man, my team and I, we have fun. We have just have a lot of fun. We enjoy what we do, and we enjoy making our realtor partners' lives a little bit simpler, a little bit easier, as much as we can. So that's what we enjoy doing.
Hey, what's the major area? I know as far as the area that you serve, and then obviously I know there's some national reach as well, but specifically, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm in South Lake, which is kind of Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Texas. And I would say probably 80% of my business is in that area, maybe North Texas or Texas as a whole. And then I've been blessed to kind of go across state lines. We're blessed to be licensed under the umbrella of the bank, if you will, FDIC insured, so we can lend across state lines. So, we enjoy lending in I think 47 states, and I've probably done it in about 25 of those. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Hey, the reason why I mainly wanted to really have this conversation with you is because I know agents, a lot of times our systems can either be improved or we just don't have any as agents. And so this was when you started showing me some of the things that you're doing and the systems you have in place. I know that agents are going to get some value out of this. So let's go right into that. Let's start. Where would you like to start? Because I mean, look, I know there's a couple different things we want to go over. I'd love to talk a little bit about the 8 major milestones, and also obviously your client by 4 campaign. But which one would you prefer to start with? Because I think they feed each other as well.
Yeah, let's go with the client times 4 program or
Okay,
campaign,
perfect.
because that kind of feeds into those 8, major milestones. They kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, we got the client times 4 campaign started years ago, and it really, so my team's motto is our phone doesn't ring unless it's new business. So that's really the goal. And what that means is we try to do everything that we can to prevent those reactive phone calls that are coming in, because reactivity prevents activity or proactivity, right? So if we can do things, if we can push information out there, and these are things that I know our clients and our realtor partners might be on pins and needles about, right? So just after you do this for a few years, you start realizing what are some things that are happening on almost every deal. Why, has the appraisal been ordered yet? I started getting those phone calls over and over and over. And finally I was like, hey team, let's get together. What can we do? Because I might be in the middle of a client consultation with one of your clients, Jimmy, and I get a text that says, hey, has the appraisal been ordered for 1234 Main Street? And now that's in the back of my mind. And as soon as we're done talking, I got to go find out if that appraisal's been ordered yet or not. So why not just, as soon as we know that the appraisal has been ordered, why don't we just push that information out there, not just to, and this is where the client times 4 comes in, not just to our buyer clients, not just to my realtor referral partner, the buyer's agent that referred the client to me and trusted me, but why not also push that out to the listing agent? And then there's some things that we push out to our title rep. In Texas, we call them escrow officers. Because if you think about it, and this is really what led to this, the appraisal piece led to kind of this creation of the client times 4 campaign. Because if you referred me a client and you're texting me or calling me, there wasn't texting 20 years ago. So if you're calling me wondering, hey, Cole, I know you're working hard, but just quick question, has the appraisal been ordered for 1234 Main Street? The reason you're calling is more than likely because the listing agent has called you because they're on pins and needles. And the reason the listing agent has called you is because the sellers, their clients, are probably asking them because they're on pins and needles, right? So by the time it gets all the way to me, and I could be out and about, I could be at a closing, I could be doing something, it might be 30 minutes, it could be the next day before I have that information. And by the time it gets all the way back to the listing agent and or the seller, that could be 3 days, somewhere in that neighborhood. And that's just frustrating, right? If you're the buyer's agent or the listing agent or the seller, that's just, you're on pins and needles, right? So if I could just push that out there, and some of the cool feedback that we've gotten is from listing agents who have said, you know what, almost every time my seller had a question, I had an answer because it was right there on my phone. And I was like,
Right.
good job, team. That's,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's great.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was probably the main reason, like the impetus in doing that. But what I found out is there was like an unexpected benefit, and because we do push out so much information. And just to give you a few things. So when the appraisal is ordered, information is going out there. I do a text alert, if you will. They're Kohl's Insta updates, a kind of cheese name, different thing. And let me clarify that. It's not, you're not held hostage in a group thread, right? So I use technology as much as I possibly can to create efficiencies. So we use a text broadcasting platform, and as soon as a contract comes in, my team will load all the new players. All the new parties are going into that system, and then we'll group that system based by property address and, for us, borrower or buyer last name. So now when we get an update that an appraisal, okay, the appraisal's already been ordered, now we get an update of when it's been scheduled, immediately a text is going out. I can do it myself from my phone, or if you're blessed to have a team, you can have somebody back at the mothership loaded up on online, and they can be doing the text like it's coming from you, which is nice.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so that'll go out, and then we'll let them know appraisal has been ordered. As soon as we know it's scheduled, we will let you know. Then everybody's like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. And then they get another text, appraisal for 1234 Main Street has been scheduled for February 15th. As soon as we get it back, we will let you know how it looks. So just that constant proactive communication to prevent that reactive phone call.
Yeah, Cole, this is what I love about this too. And let me just say, from an agent's perspective, first off, if you don't have the ability to have this coming from your lender, I've created this myself as an agent every single transaction. I was the one that would put together an email that included the lender, included the title company in our case, in our area, or the escrow company in Texas, obviously. It would include the buyer. It would even include sometimes the other agent on the other side, and everybody that was a party to the transaction. I would just put this group email together. And part of the reason is that communication is the biggest complaint that consumers have about real estate agents. And so
and loan
having
officers.
a system, and yeah, and so from that standpoint, having a system in place where you start this, and it's easy to track this. I'll give you some examples. I'm going to give some realtor examples, and then I want to get back to this a little bit. And literally, like what we like to do, or what I like to do, because your client is watching, and if they don't know what you're doing, they think you're doing nothing. And so what I like to do was every conversation included them on these towards the closing. And some people, we used our transaction coordinators, had them set this up and do these things as well. But what I did is 2 weeks before the closing, I would send a text or, to that group, or an email, depending on which platform you're using. And I would just simply say, hey, we're 2 weeks from closing. Is there anything that any of you see that you need from me or my client, whether it's the buyer or the seller? And is there any reason that you see right now that the closing should not happen on the closing date of whatever it is? Then I did the same thing a week out. You know what I mean? Because we wanted that openness of communication. And then also what it did is then when something came about, 2 days before, that was out of the control of whoever it was, because I had been over communicating, it gave my client the ability to understand that things happen, but we've been trying to stay on top of this thing. And so it gave that ability to have that.
Them, right?
That's exactly right. Because if they don't, they just assume, oh, well, he hasn't been doing anything, and it just kind of popped up this way. But if they are participating in that, it builds trust. And trust is what builds referrals. And so it makes smoother transactions. So this is great. Tell me the reason why it's like the client times 4. What's the name? What does that mean exactly, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So client times 4, and this is another piece of it. I started realizing that, and this goes for real estate agents too, we're really only catering to and marketing to maybe 20% of what I call that ambassador pie, if you will.
Right.
So if you think about it from a real estate agent's perspective, if you're pushing updates out to all parties, and I don't know if there's legalities with the seller communication. I think that there is, but there might be some.
Depends on the state. Depends on the state. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there might be some things that you could do to have some kind of communication, just updates with the seller. But as it relates to the mortgage side, so the client times 4, you've got the referring agent, you've got the buyers, or in our case, borrowers, you've got the listing agent, and then the title rep. And
Yeah.
in real estate case, you could add the sellers in there.
Right.
So if I'm doing all of this, and this is what I did in the beginning, if I'm doing all of this over communication with the buyer, and then also including the buyer's agent, I'm neglecting an opportunity for me with the listing agent,
Right.
and also with the title rep, because
Right.
the title rep and the listing agent, let's be honest, are usually the last two to know anything that's going on, right?
Right.
I mean, they're almost
Right.
always left in the dark.
Yeah.
So if I can just over communicate, and if I can give them the same level of love that I'm giving to my client and the referring agent, they're going to remember that.
That's
And
right.
and that's what started happening. That was one of the unexpected benefits, is my team and I started getting phone calls from listing agents saying, "Hey,
Right.
can we talk about maybe opportunities?" I'm like, that's like a loan officer's dream, right? An
That's right. Yeah.
unsolicited
Yeah.
call from an agent.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is the same thing here. I mean, a lot of times you have to understand, if there's another agent on the other side of this transaction and you include them and you make it the communication coming to them very open, you'll be amazed at what that will do for the next time that they're out showing properties, how much they love showing your property, because they're hoping they get to work with you again. So it does lead to more business in those ways. Let's talk about the major milestones, because I thought this was great too. It kind of gives, I love when we have frameworks for the process. And so this was super helpful for me as well. So if you don't mind, kind of go through that with us as well.
yeah, well, so if you think about it, whether you're a loan officer or a real estate agent, if you think about what I call the life of a client, in my case, I call it the life of a loan. So from a linear perspective, the day that they're referred to you, and then closing day, just think of those times. And then what I did is I identified like 6 to 8 different points that I call milestones, like major milestones. Like the first one would be an incoming lead. So when they come in, what are some things that need to happen on every single time someone is referred to me? A thank you note needs to go out. A thank you text to the referring agent. Another update. Hey, we did connect. So if you think about all those little things, we usually have them in our head, but if they're in here, 100% of those don't happen every time.
Right.
So I built checklists for that. So you've got like incoming lead. For me, when they apply online, that's another one, right? So some things need to happen when they apply online. They need to be acknowledged. My referral partner, the referring agent, they need to be updated. Hey, I did get that application, so on. So there's some other things. When they're pre-qualified, so when they've gotten me some of the things that I need, we've looked over numbers and whatnot. And then they're going to maybe be making an offer. There's some things that I want to happen every single time on that. So that's another checklist, kind of a campaign that I create, and I've automated most of this. So you've got incoming lead, you've got web application when they complete that, pre-qualified, and now contract has been received. When we receive a contract, there's some non-negotiables for me and my team that have to happen on those, just to let all parties know we're on top of this, right? So you've got that, and then when they're in process. So we've got the contract, they're still negotiating maybe some repairs, whatever. But once it goes from like pending to active to, hey, we're moving forward with this, I call that in process. And there's a number of steps, probably contract received and in process. Those are the two where I've got my spreadsheets. I almost ran out of cells on my Excel spreadsheet for the checklist on those. And then you've got post-closing. And that's where I that's where I really shine. I pour really heavily into my database post-closing. So those are like the major milestones on every, from that if you look at that linear thing that happened.
Yeah, and after you showed me this on what you're doing on the lending side, I kind of broke this down, and I've kind of got what I do on the real estate side very similar. It's 7 steps for this one, basically for us. I mean, look, you can do whatever it is, but there are milestones, and there's different communication with the different people that are at that different level. Number one that I've always done is the new lead comes in. What is it that we do, that we set up? What is the systemized plan of communication that they're going to receive? Are they going to receive property updates? Are they going to receive, set an appointment to meet them for the first time? Then we talk about very similar. It's the pre-qual, which is basically, you're talking about qualifying for the loan. It's qualifying for the loan, but it's also understanding what their needs are. So that we can serve them at the highest level. Then showing them some homes. I'm just using the buyer side on this. It's different on the seller, but it's very similar. And then also making an offer. I mean, just because we make an offer in today's environment doesn't mean we actually get to that point. Then it's under contract, because there's some specific communication that happens there, setting up the systems like what we're talking about, like I've done and what we talked about. Then there is the actual closing. It's that week before, week after, I think is pretty critical, because that's the time when the majority of the issues show up or get resolved. And it's a great opportunity time. So we want to make sure there's communication in there. And then the post-closing, like you say, it's that follow-up. It's what are we going to provide after closing? What systems are we going to put in place to where we are going to break the mold of what the realtor, surveys always say, that only 25% of the agents actually relist with the person who bought their or who sold them the house. And so we've got some specific plans as well. I think if you're an agent out there, understanding these processes, developing these checklists, putting all of this stuff together, I think is a great way to organize your business in a way that not only do you create some efficiencies, but you get some confidence in the processes you have. And it makes you be able to understand and communicate this to the buyers, that creates more confidence, that leads them to act in a more bold fashion. So, this is what I loved. And this is why I mainly wanted to have this conversation, Cole, is that if you're not utilizing systems and technology in your business right now, it's going to be very hard to scale it. This is the way that we can scale from doing 10 transactions to 20, 20 to 50, 50 to 100, whatever it is that you're looking to do. And you can only do that, and you can only go to a new level when you have new systems. So this is super helpful.
I've also found that this is a way to increase conversion rates at each one of those milestones. So if you were to kind of sit back and look at your business over the last, 1 month, 6 months, whatever, look at the number of leads that you've actually received, and then look at the number of those that have been converted to closed deals or under contract, then you start to figure out, okay, where are the leaks in my system, right? And for me, which I think most of us are guilty of, it was those leads that we had that weren't ready to buy right then, right? So they might be 6 months old. I'm probably by nature focused on what's going on right now. So what are some things that we can implement and bring into our business, like technology-wise, to stay in front of them, but it's not taking up a great amount of our time. And then when they go under contract, we have fun celebrating the unexpected celebrations, like the little things. This has also helped increase our conversion rate. One of them is, so I started doing a contract onboarding Zoom call. Because you guys as real estate agents, you're getting belly to belly and face to face multiple times with your clients. As a loan officer, technology has just kind of taken over. So I honestly, 9 times out of 10, I don't meet them until I'm at closing, right? It's all done over the phone, email, and whatnot. So if there's not a true bond, like a relationship there, they could go under contract. And this is what happened 2 years ago. They would go under contract with me. There would be a disclosed application. They've got terms sent out, and I started losing a certain percentage of those deals. And that hadn't happened before. I was like, what the heck? Like, we've done all this. And it was because some Joe Schmo undercut me by an 1/8 of a point in rate, or, whatever. So it's like, what can I do to increase conversion rates from contract to closing? And it was, I needed to build rapport. I needed to do more rapport. So we started doing this contract onboarding phone call or Zoom call with them. And I've got most cases, both borrowers or both buyers, husband and wife, wife and wife, doesn't matter. and I'll usually have their referral partner or their referring agent, their buyer's agent
Right.
on there, and then I'll have both my team members. So we're all there. So now when they speak with Karen, who's been my backbone, my nor'easter that blew in about 14 years ago, when they speak with Karen, now there's a face, there's a personality, there's dimension, right? There's all that there. So they just felt, and especially if I have their real estate agent on that call, there's just, they feel they've got this team around them. And that's helped. I actually saw an uptick in our conversion rates at that milestone.
Well, I think, look, the key on all of this, especially as an agent, is first off, find yourself a lender that is organized and is going to make your job easier, and build a relationship with them. The second thing is create the systems that you're going to be able to communicate in a way that, like you say, increases conversion because the confidence is there in what you're doing in your process. And when you make the process the hero, it absolutely leads to more conversion and better conversion. So, hey, Cole, this has been super helpful. I know some people got some value out of this. If somebody has additional questions or they might want to check in with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
You could go to colehomes.com. Just
Right.
remember to put the L in homes. On all the socials, I'm Aqua Mortgage Man. So at
All right.
Aqua Mortgage Man, because I love the water. So
Yes, perfect. I know. Hence the surfboard in the background. Yeah, this has been super helpful. Cole, thanks. Hey, look, thanks for everything you're doing for the industry. I mean, the way that you lead and the way that you teach. And I mean, I know that you come with a heart of service, and this has been super helpful to share kind of what your processes are so that agents can then apply it in their business. So I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate everything you do. And we'll talk to you guys soon.